There is a lot of focus this morning, Boydie, on Erik ten Hag's future at Manchester United. Some would say the dreaded vote of confidence. He's had the backing of the Manchester United hierarchy all across the newspapers this morning, on our website as well. What do you make of this, and what do you make of the timing of this, considering what happened to them against Liverpool on Sunday?
I think somebody had to speak because, there's, if you don't take control of the situation, then people will write what they want to write. Whereas if someone from the club comes out and explains the situation and tells you that, we don't, we ain't going to get rid of him anytime soon, then you are controlling the agenda, basically. Whether you agree with it or not, I still think that, if results continue the way that they are, then it's going to be very difficult, even for the hierarchy, to back him. They've done that in the summer. I still think that they went round the houses and couldn't find someone that was ready for the Manchester United job. Hence the reason why Erik ten Hag kept his job. Looking at it as well, you've got to. I know, he's rewarded and new contract and stuff like that as well. But, if you're Erik ten Hag and you know that the club has went around and actively speaking to people and trying to get other people and then, your backroom staff has changed, you kind of get the feeling that, are you really in control of what's going on here? Yes, he's got a huge say in the signings, there's no doubt about that. But, on the pitch, it's not been good for Manchester United, and they're going to have to improve because they ain't going to get away with it for much longer. Because, there seems to just be an acceptance now that, Manchester United, we'll finish fourth, we'll finish fifth, we'll finish sixth. If you're Manchester United and you grew up supporting them, from the 90s, and even, obviously Sir Alex Ferguson was a different animal altogether. But, there's periods of time there where you thought, that Manchester United were the Manchester City of now. It was a foregone conclusion they were going to win the league. Whereas now you're celebrating them finishing fourth, fifth, and sixth. It's got to get better for Manchester United.
Yeah, FA Cup winners last year. Now, what was noticeable for me watching on Super Sunday was there were fans booing at Old Trafford. We don't often hear that. What element of the club do you think the fans have been most frustrated with?
It doesn't. Everything all boils down to the pitch. There's nothing you can. I know when things sometimes go bad off the pitch, and the hierarchy will start to get it. But the reality is, if you're winning games of football, nobody will question what's going on above you. Winning games of football covers up absolutely everything. And when you don't, then people start to ask questions. They start to look, below the bonnet. So I think for Manchester United, if they can get back to winning games, it will give them time. But I don't think they're going to be in a position to go and win it week in, week out. So this is going to be a trend. They might go and win 3-4 games in the bounce now, and it'll all get quiet again. Then they'll lose 2 or 3 games, and then everything resurfaces, and everybody's having a go again. I'll say it again. You need to win games of football.
Yeah, it always seems noisiest when it doesn't quite go right at Old Trafford, more than any other club. They've had one win.
Because they're used to winning, though, Chris. I think when you have set everybody in Manchester United, the bar is there. That they set it there. When you go back to the 90s, Alex Ferguson, obviously Real Madrid and Manchester United and Barcelona, they're huge football clubs. But, what Manchester United attract worldwide, you're always going to be under pressure. And when it's not at that level, you've got to come under criticism, and you're going to have to deal with it. You can't have it both ways. You're at the biggest club in the world. There'll be a lot of perks go with that. You get, but the flip side of that is when it doesn't go to plan, then you're going to get criticised.
Just on that board backing then that we've seen across all of the newspapers on our websites, we've been reporting it this morning. 1 win, 2 defeats in their 3 games so far. If it were to continue like this, how much will that backing be tested? And could we see a change of manager this season, do you think?
If it continues, there will be a change of manager. There's no doubt about it. You can't continue to lose games of football and expect to keep your job. Erik ten Hag will know that. He needs to find a way to get that team performing and start getting results. Even the Fulham game, I thought they huffed and puffed. They weren't great. Obviously got the victory. Brighton, yeah, they could have won it at Brighton, but they could easily have lost it as well. And Brighton were missing 4. Everybody goes on about Manchester United. So if you go back to that day, Brighton were missing 4 or 5 players that would probably have started that day as well. So it wasn't a full strength Brighton team that were able to beat them. Then at the weekend, you can lose a game of football, but the way that they lost that to Liverpool at the weekend, your biggest rivals, more or less go down without a fight. I mean, we've seen Liverpool go to Old Trafford and thrash them in the past, but I mean, Sunday was as comfortable, a game as I've seen.
I think he's very close now to sealing a loan move to Galatasaray. I think arguably this will be the biggest signing in the history of Turkish football.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what's been going on with Victor Osimhen this summer. He has to leave Napoli. Al Ali from Saudi Arabia tried to sign him, apparently offered him £650,000 a week. They weren't able to complete a deal with Napoli on Friday. Chelsea were also trying to sign him right up until the deadline. Chelsea offering him much more sensible wages in line with their wage structure, I think closer to about £150,000 a week plus bonuses. He didn't fancy that. So our deadline passed and the European deadline by and large has passed as well. So Victor Osimhen, as you said, doesn't have too many options unless he wants to sit around at Napoli doing nothing until at least January. But luckily for him, the Turkish window is open and Galatasaray have come in for him. And I think it's just going to be a straight loan for the whole season. Galatasaray, of course, I wouldn't call them the biggest club in Turkey because I would get into trouble with Fenerbahce fans and fans of other clubs. But they're the reigning champions, arguably the biggest club in Turkey, have incredible support, very, very passionate fans. And of course, if he does make that move, he will be in the same city as Jose Mourinho, who's now manager of Fenerbahce as well. So it will be a big, big boost for Turkish football. The only problem is, I think he's going to go to Galatasaray. Galatasaray are going to pay all his wages, but obviously they can't afford to sign him. So then we are going to be in a situation again, probably in January and next summer, when you and I are going to be talking about Victor Osimhen.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, London is where I grew up, so I'm happy to be back.
What have the last sort of 24 hours been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy. Obviously, the last day of the transfer day, so it's expected to be a bit crazy. But I'm happy it's finally done.
Why Chelsea? What was it that sort of drew you to the project?
I think it's the manager, really. Obviously, I knew him from when I was at Man City and when he was with Pep, and I just knew, obviously he spoke to me on the phone about his project and what he was building here. And for a young player like myself, it's exciting, so can't wait to get started.
As the manager sort of explained what he would like from you this season?
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't really need to say. Obviously, they're signing me for a reason, obviously, to contribute to the team, and hopefully I can do that.
What is it that you like about Enzo so much? His sort of style of football, his sort of the way that he wants to employ you?
Yeah, I think it's his style of play. The wingers, when they get on the ball, he just loves his wingers that go 1v1 and just be direct. And they play a lot of 1-2s with the 10s and the striker combination play. So it's very attracting, especially the style of how I play.
Yeah, good. Nice. And I wanted to ask about the Chelsea squad.
Yeah.
Any familiar faces to you?
Yeah, there's a few. Obviously, Tosin. I played with him at City. Cole Palmer, he was younger than me when I was at City. Mainly the English lads.
Nice. What are your memories of playing at Stamford Bridge and of Chelsea as a football club?
Chelsea is iconic. Obviously, my idols growing up were Didier Drogba and Frank Lampard. So, now I have the opportunity to play for this club. It's a great feeling. So. It's going to be nice. And
what can Chelsea fans sort of expect from you this season?
Well, hopefully goals and assists. Skillful player, bring some excitement to the bridge. So it's going to hopefully it will turn out well.
That Champions League experience for you in the summer, what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was a nice feeling. Obviously getting to the Champions League final. It was something I've always dreamed of. Obviously, we was just unlucky on the night not to win it, but just the experience alone was a fantastic feeling.
How much has that driven your desire to want to succeed at the top of the game?
Definitely. That's where I kind of want to be. I want to be playing the best of games at a top level. So, so I'm motivated to carry on, and I can't wait.
Erik ten Hag's comments could signal the end of a Manchester United career amid transfer speculation.
Casemiro's dreadful first-half performance against Liverpool on Sunday led Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag to make a decisive change at halftime. While it wasn't the clip from Ten Hag's post-match press conference that went viral, his explanation for substituting the Brazilian midfielder might be one of the most telling insights into Casemiro's future. The press conference kicked off with questions about the Brazilian, amid speculation that he had left the match early. Ten Hag clarified that this wasn't the case, but his reasoning for pulling the five-time Champions League winner at halftime inadvertently hinted that Casemiro's days in the Premier League might be numbered. "We had to take risks because we needed to get back into the game, so we needed midfielders who could cover the ground," Ten Hag said, explaining his decision to replace Casemiro with Toby Collier, a 20-year-old with just 30 minutes of professional football under his belt. This move seemed to foreshadow the end of Casemiro's dominance at Old Trafford, and Ten Hag's comments only reinforced that notion. Yes, Ten Hag was speaking in the context of chasing a game, but it raises a broader question. Why would you want to play with a holding midfielder in the Premier League who can't cover the ground, essentially what the Dutchman was implying? It will be fascinating to see who starts in that role against Southampton after the international break. Ten Hag has already mentioned that Manuel Ugarte will need time to adapt and improve his fitness following his £42 million transfer from Paris Saint-Germain. The 23-year-old is currently away with Uruguay during the international break, and while playing for his country might help his match fitness, his game in Venezuela won't end until the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. This makes a start at St. Mary's very unlikely. So, does Ten Hag risk playing Casemiro again when he desperately needs a result, or does he give Collier his first start, a midfielder who has impressed during his rise to first-team training? While Collier is still raw in terms of senior football experience, he's energetic and can cover the ground, something that is sorely needed in a United midfield that continues to leak chances and is too easily bypassed. They need a fireman in that role, and it's clear that Casemiro is no longer up to the task. At 32 years old, the former Real Madrid midfielder has 2 years left on his substantial contract following his £60 million transfer in 2022. But with Ugarte now clearly the first choice for the position, Ten Hag must decide if Casemiro still has a role to play in the squad, or if it's time to give Collier more first-team exposure. It will certainly be harder for Collier to get game time if both Ugarte and Casemiro are blocking his path, and Ineos won't be too pleased about one of the club's highest earners sitting on the bench week after week. United finds themselves in this position because they failed to offload Casemiro this summer, with the expected interest from the Saudi Pro League never materializing. However, one last avenue remains open, as the Turkish Super League's transfer window doesn't close until September 18. Galatasaray has already been linked with a loan move for Casemiro, especially after securing a major coup earlier this week by signing Napoli striker and former United target, Victor Osimhen, in a similar deal. While such moves might seem ambitious, the Turkish top flight has successfully attracted big-name players in recent years, thanks to lower tax rates for high earners, meaning clubs can pay players less than they would earn in the Premier League, yet the players still take home the same amount. The league's profile has also been boosted by the arrival of Jose Mourinho as Fenerbahçe manager this summer, further attracting top talent. Whether any Turkish club makes a concerted effort to sign Casemiro in the next 2 weeks remains to be seen, but his arrival would undoubtedly add star power to the league. Such a move could also benefit United and accelerate Collier's development.